Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chakra Alchemy. And today I'm going to be talking to Tara Love Perry, who I absolutely adore this woman's work. She is what we would call a midwife of the soul. She's a soul reader, and her way of seeing into people, for me, has made me felt seen, made me felt heard, made me felt validated in so many ways, and that's allowed me to actually really expand into my own gifts and what I'm here to do and to give to the world. So this woman has been an integral part of my journey, and I'm really happy that she's here with us. We're basically going to be talking about bringing that love connection into all of our chakras so that we are living our multidimensional aspects, that we're holding higher frequencies of who we are, what we're meant to be in this world. And we're living from that place, not just 3D, where it's just kind of like all about the physical, but how do we embody our full selves? And the heart is such an integral part. The heart is such a big part of that picture. Like without the heart, nothing goes on, right? It's so important for the flow. So we're going to work from the base chakra, moving up. And for me, it's really important to just bring the seven chakras into it, because it gives you also a practical element of how this can work for you in your day-to-day life as well. So welcome, Tara. It's an honor.
Oh, it's so beautiful to see you, Tash. I love your smile. You're so neat. Hello.
So let's start with the base. When we think of bringing that heart connection, and your work with I Love You Me, which is basically about bringing that sort of level of heart connection into all aspects of who we are. Mm-hmm. But when we think of bringing it into the base chakra, which is basically our security, our physicality, our presence in physical form, what comes up for you in terms of that when you think of the heart in connection with the base?
Well, and it's also the sexuality and the money. And it's kind of like the dirty base chakra, low vibrational. You know, people call it low vibrational. And for me, what I recognize in the base chakra is basically where we store unconscious memory. So, for instance, our birth. You know, you think of your base chakra is even in men and women, but where your base chakra is the memory stored of your own birth. Right? And we don't remember our birth. So that's a really great example of unconscious memory.
Yes.
And of course, everything that we were before. So perhaps our ancestors. We have no conscious memory of our ancestors. But that's connected to the base chakra. It's connected to the earth. And all those layers of the earth with the death and the birth and the death and the birth of all those people that came before us so that we can sit on the top of the pile, so to speak. And everything that's been buried. So for me, base chakra is always the dark, earthly, you know, it's the earth, what's buried in the earth.
Yes.
Buried in that darkness, it can be a really dark place. It's also where humanity was seeded, apparently. You know, each man came from some little amoeba, and we evolved like monkeys, and became literally from the earth's evolution, so the story goes. And I believe that to a certain extent. I think that's part of the picture, but not the whole picture.
Yes.
So as man has evolved, and how it's like a baby learning to walk. We stand up, we fall down, we do things that hurt ourselves, we do things that hurt others. If anybody's ever had a toddler, you see them in the playground or in the toddler group. That's mine. No, that's mine, and they bash each other over the head. And it's, you know, I imagine it's kind of caveman kind of mentality. It's not. It's consciousness that's there, but in its primary infancy stage.
Yes.
It's a developing, gestating consciousness.
Yeah.
So everything that's ever been before our birth, and so this time now, my birth, your birth, everything that's ever happened ever will be stored down there in the base chakra. That's what I notice. So you can imagine that's quite a lot of history.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And in that burying, there's a lot of shame, guilt, murder, rape, a lot of death, a lot of fear, a lot more shame, more pain.
Yeah.
You know, as we we could say our unconsciousness. As we evolve into consciousness, we have to come from a place of unconsciousness. We have to.
Yes.
That's one direction of our evolution.
What part does that love vibration play? Because that brings such a level of clearing into that area, doesn't it? Particularly our particular walk in that area, because I think the work that we do in terms of clearing, then basically it sort of has a response from the earth as well, so the earth gets our sense of clearing.
Tash, your word alchemy, chakra alchemy, is a perfect example here. Because to take that lead, that heavy, dense, dark substance of the unconscious, everything that's been buried that we find difficult to go to, the shame written all over the door, we don't want to go there. It's dark, we don't want it, we fear the unknown, we fear the darkness, we don't want to go there. But to take the golden light, and this is how I see it, the golden light of consciousness, to take the golden love of the heart center and be brave enough, be like that warrior of love.
Yes.
And say, well, where there's no love, let there be love. Where there's no consciousness, let me bring consciousness. And it's exquisite because it only takes a tiny little drop. It's not like you have to go in with the flashlights on, like Hollywood, Batman beam, here we go, let's go into the darkness, let's dispel the darkness. My experience of darkness is darkness needs to be darkness. The earth needs to be dark. People need to be buried, and it's a peaceful place. It's a beautiful place. It's where seeds grow. It's, magic happens in those. It's real earth magic. So it's to go in with humility. And only the heart knows humility. The mind doesn't know humility. So we have to take our consciousness, plug it into that unconditional love.
Yes.
And go with humility, which can be hard.
Yes.
To get past the solar plexus of that power struggle.
Yes.
And once we do, and we drop in and we navigate through all the emotional chaos and, the realm of the feminine and the womb and all that stuff, to be able to come to that door of that sacral center, to drop into the sacred space, to be utterly humble. And even just with a tiny little glimpse of light, a tiny little glimpse, one single drop of consciousness, and allowing the love to spill into that place, that unconditional love, it's like divine alchemy.
Yes.
It is divine alchemy.
Yes.
Because that transforms the nature from being an unhealthy, stagnant, dead soil that nothing grows in, that's infertile, that doesn't support life, to becoming something so rich, so deep, so juicy, so fertile, that something exquisite and never before can be birthed from that. Because love makes everything possible.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And just absolutely beautiful when I think about the base chakra in that way. I love what you said about the darkness as well, because we have this tendency sometimes to feel like the darkness is a bad thing, like exactly like you say, that kind of like blasting it with light, whereas a certain level of respect is needed, because it is part of the whole, it's part of basically the whole ecosystem of what's here for us.
You're absolutely right. It is. It's such a tender, fragile thing. Like you said, the ecosystem of the soil is so imbalanced. It's so tender.
Yes.
It's so easily messed with our big ideas, and we come in with our shovels and we bulldoze the place down because we think we know better. And we're just causing our self-destruction. So that's on a planetary level.
Bringing the heart back to it is so important.
And this is why I don't like it when, I don't personally like it. I don't know if that's a cool thing to say, but I don't like it. When people are like, I'm working with my issue. And I'm like, get your big bulldozer out of there. Bless you, I love you. Would you just be willing to put that down?
Yes.
Just drop it and just come in humbly.
Yes.
And all the great masters, or I think it's in the Bible, and I certainly learned this from my master as very early on in my life, actually, to come, the heart is like the heart of a child. Its nature is to be the heart of a child. And with that heart of a child and that humility, that's what's allowed in through the doors. That's what's allowed to glimpse the magic. That's what's allowed to glimpse the mystery of what happens down there in that crucible of alchemy, you know, for that magic and that divine manifestation to happen.
Yes.
But if we put this into a practical context, for instance, let's talk about birthing a baby. Most of the time it's done totally unconsciously with drugs, numbed out. It's done for us. Or even conceiving a baby. You know, how many times do we just have a few drinks and we have some whey, and it's all great, but we're not maybe bringing the consciousness and the humility and the surrender and the sacredness and the absolute love, the unconditional love. Most of our relationships are fraught with conditions of love, you know, so it's a lot of pulling and pushing, and we definitely put that into, we seed that into the baby when we're creating a child. To be able to bring a conscious, divine, like a holy love between oneself and between the couple in relationship, and to seed that into the birthing of a child, and to do that consciously, what kind of earth would we be able to procreate if we did that? Sowing different seeds.
So beautiful, so beautiful. I love that. So, I've just got like mental images now. So, if we move this energy up into the sacral chakra, which is obviously our seed, for me, the sacral represents our seed of our sexuality, in the sense of when we meet another in sacredness. Very much that comes from the sacral energy, but also it's our feelings and our emotions that come up from the base chakra, and it's normally really informed by the base chakra, basically. So when we think of bringing that love vibration into the sacral, just speak of what comes up for you there.
Okay, so this is where when I think of the chakras, I think of pineal, like third eye, heart center, and that sacral working in a union. It's like consciousness of the divine masculine is here, consciousness of the divine, like the ultimate pure God, like God consciousness here, goddess consciousness in the sacral, the divine feminine, and then the heart is the absolute union of both. It's all and everything in the heart center. It's not masculine or feminine, but it's both, and it's the child of both. It's so multidimensional. So to bring consciousness and the heart, and that, like I said, it requires great humility and great respect. And that's where co-creation can happen. That's where creation happens. And to create consciously in our lives, whether we're creating a business or a family or whatever we're creating our today, even, it can start on a very day-to-day thing. To bring love to that divine feminine space, the feeling space, the womb space, and for men this would be in the prostate, right? So for the women, it's this kind of the uterus, the base of the uterus. It's where those seeds come together, and like the Big Bang, something incredible happens. Two opposite forces come together to create something brand new. And so to do that in consciousness and to do that with love, I feel like that kind of is the way that we create the paradigm shift that we talk about.
Yes.
And if we want a paradigm shift in our own life, right? Not just, which is each one of us having it in our own lives is like a light bulb lighting up, which creates a planetary paradigm shift. So for us to take responsibility for our own worship of our own sacredness, for our own respect, for our birth, for our inner child, for our creational abilities, womb, for the prostate, for the sexuality, for the sensuality, for the touchy-feely. It's to have a lot of respect and sacredness, to hold that with reverence.
Yes, yeah. And there is one piece I want to add here as well, because when I think of the sacral, definitely in combination with love energy, I think of beauty. because that's basically the creation of beauty, the combination of those two things, isn't it?
Well, I guess when you do anything with consciousness, it creates beauty.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I guess in a way, the divine is always creating, and so everything that is created is beautiful. But when human beings, we can make a mess of things if we're not doing something consciously.
Yes.
It can backfire. It can be a double-edged sword. It can wound us and hurt us. But when we do something from a place of absolute love, unconditional, which is not dualistic, it's one in nature, it is love. So bringing that into the mix and loving ourselves in the sacral space, that means everything we do is going to be created with beauty and harmony and flow and natural magic.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's move the energy up to the solar plexus, which is obviously our seat of power. It's our seat of basically identity. It's that sort of I am energy in physical form. So when we bring, and when I think of I Love You Me, that work that you do, there's such an element between the communication of the heart and the solar plexus in this. But yeah, just speak to that. What comes up when you think of that love in terms of your personal, the seat of your personal power?
So, when I think of power, there's empowerment and disempowerment. There's struggle and there's action. There's benevolence and giving and the shining of that solar light of the solar plexus, you know. It's and when we resist that or restrict that because we don't want to shine, we don't want to be seen, we don't want to be heard, we can't express our natural, divine, unique power for whatever reasons we've got going on up here, then we shut it down and become disempowered. And it's, you know those puppets you used to get that you pop them up and they stick up and then you can pull the stick down and they go inside?
Yes.
And I really kind of get that.
Yeah.
And it can become a real struggle, up, down, and be like a trap door, you know, that does no longer, that it should swing both ways easily to let energy down and then up.
Yeah.
In all of that struggle, it locks. So it no longer opens, it's no longer a door, and it kind of becomes like, you know, imagine if there was a door and then it stops working and it's locked for a long time, you forget that it's there.
Yeah.
So you forget that you can be in a power. You can forget that you can embody a divine power. You forget that your humanness does not have to struggle.
Yes.
That the humanness is also divine.
Yes. Yeah.
And to let both aspects work together. My will be done, and God's will be done in divine union, in that harmony. So I hope that makes sense. And so for me, I really have to bring love, every little bit of love, to that part of me that wants to hide, that the little one that goes inside and says, I can't, I don't want to. Yeah. And how many people do we know and meet that feel helpless and can't do anything and want to but can't?
Yeah.
Try to, or should do but can't.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's always that
Yeah. Yeah.
Retracting and retracting. And so to just bathe, this is an old wound. You know, this goes back, it's also the struggle between the masculine and the feminine, the way that I look at it. The masculine and feminine war has been happening for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's got more power, me or him. Me. Who can I trust? Can he trust me? Can I trust him? You know, there's that whole so I really get the relationship dynamic there of the masculine and feminine. And so to be able to bring unconditional love to that masculine and feminine power struggle.
Yes. And there's such a level of surrender. So when we speak of personal power, ultimately we're speaking from that place of inviting that power in rather than manufacturing that power, because I think our present society is very much about manufacturing power. So it's very much, and it all becomes very external, and our voice reflects it. So it's all very, sometimes you speak to people and their vocals is kind of like pointing to you rather than kind of like that allowing of a flow of energy to move in and out. That so much speaks from that level of personal power. So there's an invitation and a surrender that happens with that, without a doubt, isn't there?
Absolutely. And for me, it really works in union with the heart, because humility is also that solar plexus place.
Yes.
You know, it can be disempowered or empowered, but ultimately humility is required for us to shine truly, and to restore where there has been lack. So when there's lack of power, lack of money, lack of something, lack of that substance, lack of food, lack of whatever.
Yeah.
And we can think, there's this kind of an old sense of humility that comes with that, being poor, humbly poor. It's kind of nice. So not that kind of humility, because actually that's just disabling, it's disempowering, and it's damaging. I don't see how that supports the procreation of a conscious humanity. I don't see that. So to bring love to that place of humility is so powerful.
Yeah.
It's an empowering, door opening, heart opening, inviting, love inviting humility. It's required, and that's why I believe in forgiveness, because forgiveness happens in the will center, in the solar plexus. It's where we have to forgive and let go.
Yes. Yes.
It requires love to do that, and love requires humility. So the two always really work together.
So speaking about the heart, so bringing that energy from that solar plexus, because I feel like the solar plexus and the heart speak to each other all the time. The heart informing us, and us informing the heart to a large degree, which then informs us yet again. Bring the attention back to the heart in terms of that level of loving unconditionally, opening ourselves to holding higher frequencies and being that multidimensional being that we are here to be. What comes up for the heart with that for you?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I really know myself in this space. Like I just know who I am. And that's because I know what is.
Yes.
And I don't say that from up here, because we can't ever possibly know love with our minds, and that's what really trips us up. We can't know the truth with our minds, and so people go away and debate truth or debate love, and it's not possible. I mean, go ahead, but it's not going to lead you anywhere, because the truth is, love is, life is, the heart is, source is, consciousness is. And to be able to really, again, that requires a humility of the mind of a different kind, coming down out of the control tower, the know-it-all tower, leaves the ideas at the door. You can't bring your ideas of love to love. It does not work, and it messes up relationships.
Yes.
You can't bring your ideas of truth to knowledge. You can have one or the other. Which one do you prefer? Your love or your ideas of love?
Yes.
Do you want real truth or belief?
And this is really this is speaking to the embodiment of love rather than the thought of love, which is two different things. And the embodiment of love it doesn't require any words whatsoever. We can try and express it in order to actually create a communication between us around it. But ultimately, the silence is what creates that communication between us, isn't it?
Totally. And that ringing as well. It's all and everything. It's all and nothing, People say the alpha and the omega, or the infinite and the finite, because we have a finite heart. We have literally a very beautiful little pumping, beating heart. Without that heart, we die.
Yes.
We are not a human being if we don't have that heart.
Yes.
The Iron Man or something. That's super cool, but whatever, maybe that's...
Yeah.
But the heart is tender, it's raw, it's real, it's vulnerable, it's right in the moment, it's beat by beat by beat o'clock. It's now. And so we have the very physical finite heart and the infinite heart all living together in that one space.
Yes. Yeah.
And to get past just this dimension, this practical third dimension heart space, it's like, yes, that's important, care for your heart, you must. But the physical heart, to be healthy, needs unconditional love.
Yes.
Not versions of love imposed on it.
Yeah.
Right? So to really embrace a knowing, and everybody's default, this is the beauty, Tash. Default of the human being is to know unconditional love and to know absolute truth. Where we come from, where we're going, everything.
Yes.
There is no journey. There is even no journey, so to speak. We just get this imagination that there is a pretense of time, that there is a journey. But to be able to just say, yes, I know, and to tap in and know the place that you know.
I get that completely. And again, it just speaks to me so much of embodying. So when we move up to the throat chakra, which is our expression, And it's our expression of love. It's our expression in all ways, in all forms, and also holds the voice, which is our vibratory expression, which actually rings and ricochets within us, but also rings and ricochets out into the earth. You know, so basically, when we bring the heart connection into the throat, what comes up there?
To speak of love, to speak of oneself with love, to speak of the world with love,
Yes.
and to speak with kindness that comes with that.
Yes.
And because, as you know, words create things. Words are a manifesting vibration. You know, in the beginning was the word was God, and the word, you know, I'm not a Christian, but I understand something of that nature, that what those words are pointing to.
Yes.
Sound manifests universal matter.
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
So sound will inform, the quality of our sound and our expression will inform the matter to create what it actually then becomes. So to be able to communicate from a place of absolute unconditional love means we're creating with our voice.
Yes.
We're creating with our words.
Yeah.
Our reality of absolute love.
The other piece I just want to quickly just move into there is because we have sometimes that tendency to think that because we didn't speak it, it therefore didn't really exist. And this is something that I really want to tap into, because vibration doesn't always need the vibration of the voice. It can really, you can create such a vibration by just sitting there and thinking something that basically everybody that walks into the room is sucked into that vibration, whether it be joy or not, you know, of what it is that you're thinking. So I just wanted to put that in there, because the expression is very much linked to the thought as well, isn't it?
Totally, and that's what we're kind of almost going up the other way, aren't we? Because of the thought and then the expression.
Yeah.
But for me, it's really, really vital. That expression is vital, because if somebody comes into a room and they're angry and you feel it, but then they really let their anger out, everybody will leave, because it maximizes, it enhances that vibration that's already there.
Yes.
It manifests it more powerfully.
Yes.
Contrarily, and I really believe in the power of voice and sound, that physical sound is important, and that's why I get people to say literally, I love you, me, not just think it. Because Tash, if you were raised as a child and nobody ever spoke to you, ever, they looked at you, but they never spoke to you, and they spoke to others.
Yes.
And that they never, ever, ever said, I love you. You might go, well, I guess that they love me. I know that they love me. I can feel it somewhere in my spiritual body. Or I imagine that they love me because they're my parents.
Yeah.
But if nobody ever said it, it wouldn't hit home. It wouldn't be real.
Yes.
Yes. So that spoken word is vital.
Yes. And then moving up into the third eye, because the third eye, especially when we're talking about multidimensional living, is so, so crucial, because really multidimensional living is what we were speaking about, that embodiment, that resonance, that being able to connect, not just from the thought of something, but from what it feels like and what it resonates in with us. And to really kind of get a sense of that is so much coming from the third eye chakra. So when we bring the love vibration into the third eye, what comes up there? Again,
it's kind of to love what we see.
Yes.
And if we're not loving what we're seeing, then we're not bringing love. That sounds almost too simple, you know, to love what we see. But if we're not loving what we're seeing, so we're literally not love. We're not bringing love there.
Yes.
Because we're projecting. We're seeing from a mind that thinks it understands love. So we're only coming from this mechanical, robotic, really powerful mechanism, amazing tool, but it doesn't know love.
Yes. Yeah.
So to be able to bring love into consciousness with what we see and project and use love, and this is where I use the self-love to go into the belief system, because belief systems are like worms that dig holes and create all kinds of tunnels and chaos and like what's going on in there, you know, where is that leading you?
Yeah.
Kind of nowhere.
Yeah.
Down a hole, really rabbit hole. So let's go in there and take the love into all of those little, you know, rabbit holes, wormholes in the mind, and because the brain won't understand, but the consciousness will, the psyche will. The psyche is like this, where the soul also, the soul wisdom is transmitted. So by loving our beliefs, we have a powerful belief. I can't see anybody out there in this world that loves me. To take love and compassion to that belief, to clean it and to heal it with the love and the compassion.
Yes.
Until the eyes can see again. Oh my goodness, I'm getting refocused, like wiping the dirt off your glasses so that you can see again.
Yes. Yeah.
And I believe love restores everything. So love restores even the most powerful, destructive, dark belief systems and all identities and everything else that gets attached to those. We can just bring love.
Yeah. And what you're speaking to there is really about the perception on all different levels. So I love that, bringing love to your perception on all different levels. So finally, it's the crown chakra, the seat of our divinity. When you think of the crown chakra with love, loving the crown, what comes up there for you?
Try and put this into words. It's like saying, I love that I am.
Yes.
And where the heart is the isness, the crown chakra is that I am the isness. I am that. I. And the I and the little I and the big I together.
Yes.
So if we were to draw that line, that goes right up to the top and then that goes right down through the core and then down into the ground, and we kind of put little blobs at either end, or little, like this is where divine consciousness sits in the masculine and the feminine, and there's that line between I am that, I am all of that. And in the crown chakra, that's where I really get that awakened consciousness. It's called the crown because when we realize who we truly are, it literally lights up. I see this again and again. Everyone's crown is unique and different, but it literally lights up like it looks like a golden crown. And it literally, some actually, with females, it's quite often kind of silvery white, but the crown literally lights up because we become the king of creation or the queen of creation. We become self-masters of I know that which I am. And that just is like a whole another level.
Yeah.
It's infinite. That's the doorway to infinite possibility, infinite consciousness, infinite creation.
And it really, basically bringing love to that connection, because that connection is love in its entirety. It's love in motion. It's love. It's basically that thing that informs the heart of love as well. Really, it comes from that level of infinity and then narrows it down towards the heart. So,
and Tash, it's really important because this is an area that gets so blocked because of our ideas, our religions, our books, our philosophies, our theologies, our indoctrination.
Yes.
It blocks the channel, it blocks the stream. So it's really important to be able to love that crap, so to speak.
Absolutely.
As above, so below. Love the shit both ends. Get the channel clear.
Yes. Tara, thank you so much. As always, illumination. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you with regards to this.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love talking to you. You are a visionary. I love you.
And basically, I'm going to actually have all Tara's details down below. So if you needed to get in contact with her, you will be able to find her there. Much love, sweetheart. Thank you so much.
Bye.